Hello.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Already have like 20 things I'm trying to do all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, man, I had just back-to-back meetings. I'm really trying to like work on my structure of my weeks so I don't get burnt out by the end of the day. And
Mm-hmm.
so Tim Flynn's got a project. It'll be pro bono. So I'm gonna basically getting him access to the apprentice team. And we'll go through and kind of do a discovery call in this call to see what he needs, what he's looking for, provide him support, and then the apprentices, and then we can just offer direction.
Cool.
Hey Tim.
Hey.
Hi buddy. How you doing?
Hi, Kara.
Hi.
Good. How are you?
I'm good too.
I went to the office today.
Nice.
I went to the work office for the morning, and my buddy's going to meet me down here. And there's like 3 people here, and then there were 4, and so I got a hug. So that was really nice.
Hi.
And then we went to Starbucks.
Wow, some normalcy.
Well, we just drove through. I had given up coffee, but since she was treating and it was an event, right? And then we were coming up the escalator together, and the office manager came in with her mask on, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And we couldn't really hear her because she was kind of far away. And Hi asked me, "What did she say?" And I said, "I think she said, 'What are you doing?'" And then when we got up to the office, she said, "What are you guys doing? You're supposed to be social distancing." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean we're sitting 6 feet apart?" She's like, "But you guys are like walking together and you don't have masks on." I'm like, "Who said we're supposed to be social distancing?" "The city." So she scolded us. We got scolded.
I just posted into the Discord, a COVID Discord, but we just got an announcement from our governor, and then I looked at his announcement, and it says, based off of data from our a new study, we're now starting to ease off restrictions. We're going to start opening up parks again, but at the first sign of things, we might clamp it back down. But it says like the overall cases are declining, and we might reach a plateau, but the danger is not over. And then looked into it, and the modeling is from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, imagine that.
And modeling's shit anyways, right? It's whatever you want to put into it is what it'll give you. So it's not actual.
Have you seen any of that World Economic Forum information? So they have a full like 250 level set of action reaction planning based on this scenario that they've generated before they put this scamdemic in place.
Yeah.
So to me, it's pointing to just a technocratic dictatorship installation. It's global, it's planned. All this information was out there previously. They didn't just come up with these ads in 10 days. They didn't just come up with all the signs, all the procedures, all this stuff. It was okay, everybody. So anyway, I'm agitated.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that the arguments against the doctors coming out from California and sharing their personal data from their clinic. And the experts, they were like, they are so irresponsible. We have to take time out of our out of leading the country to speak back against this misinformation.
Yeah, our busy schedule.
That was their attitude.
Our busy schedule trying to get people to accept vaccines and
yeah. And Misty Flowers, local vaccine.
She's like an
Health freedom
educator.
activist.
Yeah.
Educator.
Yeah.
That's a good word. She just said that our local food bank is sponsored by the Gates Foundations, and she was trying to share information about them, and they're like, no, they give us free sack lunches. Like, you got them all wrong.
What do you think is in that lunch?
GMOs.
It's got
totally. I said kill them in kindness, and GMOs is what I said.
They throw that epicide sterilization corn in there.
Yeah, right. Anyways, all right.
Anyway, sorry, Carol. We
can talk about this forever.
We're good at digressing. If we haven't had it.
Well, Tim, I shot the link out to Rich. I'll see if he's going to join us.
Okay.
The purpose of this meeting is to get you onboarded and into Autonomy Unlimited. I just added a room inside of Autonomy Unlimited for Tim Flynn. I don't know if you have a website or like a business name yet, but we could swap that out once you do.
Okay.
And we're gonna ask you some questions, really get like a clear picture of what it is you're trying to build, trying to offer. And then this recording will be made available to the apprentices. Kara's here to help kind of direct, but I said my goal is to get you into Autonomy Unlimited, get you access to the apprentices, and then for you and the apprentices to work together to build what it is that you're looking for. And then the team captains and myself were made available to you for direction. That sounds
so that sounds great. I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to putting some work into it and doing some production rather than consumption. I have 1 hour today, so I have to be off at 12:30. I have another call, and I'll put it in your hands.
Awesome. Well, yeah, really excited that you're taking these steps, and I know it really helps to have some accountability working on our own projects, right? And just having some other people knowing or there to keep you moving along.
Well, I found that when I was challenged to present or do a presentation, having the autonomy people poking me, say, when is it coming? That kind of helped.
You do it. Yeah. Right.
Even though it was like 100 hours of work.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you give us like a 5-minute elevator pitch of what it is that you're looking to offer, and then we'll ask some questions afterwards.
Yeah, I think just to give context. So I have a full-time job. I have 2 kids basically in college, and my full-time job, I've got to make that living. And then I am in graduate school for marriage and family therapy. And with that degree, you can get a license to do individual counseling or marriage and family counseling. And I have, I've done some career counseling, like individual counseling. I've done some sessions with autonomy people. I really enjoy that individual interaction. And my theory is that, okay, it's going to take me maybe a year to get licensed or so. But in that year, if I could build an audience and a following through by offering coaching, maybe at some point I wouldn't have to join the cartel. I could just keep going down that avenue. And so it's, how do I create a professional brand? Then how do I reach my potential customers, deliver the service, and then refine that process over time? So there's okay, I need an online presence and brand. name, a company name, and then I need to develop a set of marketing avenues. So a lead magnet, probably some videos, some introduction. I need people to get to know my offering. And then it would be my coaching and counseling services. And I also have a class that I've done for the Raising Excellence people. I like that. That went well. So there's the potential to offer a more structured engagement to potential clients in a group setting, as well as individual. And I think the benefit is to gain clarity on what you want to achieve, and then move kind of in a solution-focused fashion towards those goals and visions that you then create. You're on mute.
That sounds really great. So if you could describe the perfect client, who would they be? Like what kind of lifestyle would they have? What kind of family unit situation would they be in?
Well, I really think that I have this kind of a separation of, and we've done this discussion in Raising Excellence a little bit, which is, okay, there's like a level 5 client, which is attuned to everything that autonomy people are attuned to. And those are kind of my perfect clients, but they might not be what this offering is for necessarily, because those people are kind of hard to dig up. And understanding, all right, I need to make some changes because I'm not thinking about my activities in the world correctly, or I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for. And they've kind of begun to understand that, well, maybe my thinking and maybe my actions have something to do with this. And they're starting to question what they can do to improve their results. So that's kind of I think the ideal client would already be on the edge of taking some personal responsibility for their own actions. Again, I think the enlightened client is the hard one to come by.
So I'm curious because you talk about improving results, and I a bit to think about what are some of those challenges that you see people facing that just really hit home for you that you want to help to solve. If we can get a little bit more tangible.
They fit into several dimensions. So there's health and fitness. I think that would be one dimension. So I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for, and so I'm blocked in some way. And then there's what are the habits that support healthy physical and psychological living that we could establish that I don't know about, or I'm not able to get myself to do. So how do we get ourselves to develop more healthy habits that support the lifestyle and the goals that we're looking for? So physically, financially, health, and then spiritual and relationships. So those are kind of the 5 dimensions that I focus on for myself, and I think there's ready value there to be communicated to other people.
Thank you.
What is your ideal client afraid of?
Well, I think the ideal client is afraid of and maybe it's not, there's probably a lot of different fears. So the first thing is probably their initial critic is sitting on top of their desires and saying, you can't do that, right? Because you don't have the skill, or you're going to be criticized by the outside world if you take those actions. And I think ideally, the ideal client would have a fear of not living a full life. So wasting their time or wasting their energy.
How will it change their like identity, like their status, or like how they see themselves in the world?
Yeah, I think that's what I'd like to help people do is to shift from an external locus of control so that they're evaluated based on their own standards and not the one in the external world. And that allows them to pursue and fail and be relatively immune from external criticism and actually internal criticism as well. To get them to see like movement, action, and adjustment to feedback as the process, and the process being the key to really the key to the castle, scraping and working and grinding on the process, as opposed to I have to see my emeraldy final result and every single step to get there in order to be successful or to even take the first step towards success. So it's a very autonomy-like journey of effort, feedback, failure, success, mix. It's not black and white. You know, the failure or success is not black and white. You gain something in between failure and success that you can then leverage up to your next event or to your next action. I guess that's kind of like the coaching aspect of it. And if I were to move towards the counseling aspect of it, I think it would be working with people who have potentially anxiety or depression or procrastination or other things that are like holding them back from living a full life.
And you mentioned schooling that you're doing now is geared towards like marriage counseling and family counseling.
Yes.
And how does that, do you see that tying in a strong way, or is that just kind of one of those steps along the way that you're taking for your own education?
Yeah, well, I think it was one of the steps that I took towards, okay, let's go down this path and see how far it gets me, see what it's all about. And then in the end, if I end up with a certification that I can use to generate income, then that would be nice. I was trying to get into the LPC, Licensed Professional Counselor program, but they were overbooked. So they threw me into the marriage and family. And I mean, I have affinity for family, so it does make some sense to me. But what I ended up with is a significant, I would say, experience of cultural Marxism in this set of classes in this degree program. So I'm kind of holding my nose and plowing forward, and I get my education from my own reading and learning for the most part, and I'm really just checking boxes at this point.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So, you know, I think having the certification and degree gives me a range of options, and go into private practice, get your hourly rate, and move forward. So I could transition into like something outside of the corporate world that's different, like a second career. But I also have the option of, okay, I'm not going to join the cartel. I'm going to just do coaching. If I can generate enough marketing and become a brand that generates income, and then I could move in that direction. And then at the end of the rainbow, what I thought was, hey, you know, if I can, and I kind of want to do some of that, but again, at the end of the rainbow, it could be that we generate and develop a marketing engine that throws off enough leads that I could sell those leads to other professional counselors and have a business. And then I could have that income on top of the individual hour income and transition to that over time and just do as much as I wanted to. And then doing that, I think that recipe would be a template for autonomy unlimited businesses.
Nice.
Other people that are looking to create coaching and therapeutic services?
No, any kind of business where they're offering any kind of service. So it'd be, okay, these are the steps that we took that you can replicate to build a marketing engine that develops leads for this type of business. And here's how you deliver the service. So there's maybe a calendar integrated, you're using Zoom, a calendar, a payment system of some sort. And here's the marketing avenues that are available, and here's the marketing channels that best fit the audience that you're trying to reach. And it was like test drive your future. You know, they wanted a teenager to talk about how their marketing is going. And so I talked to my daughter a little bit, and she's like, well, the first thing is there's no teenagers on Facebook. So you need to think about, if you want to reach teenagers, chat and TikTok is the new big one, and that's where you would reach the teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having information like that and being able to channel your marketing spend to the place where your audience is, and that having that template to run down for, okay, my audience is teenagers, well, this is what I do. My audience is adults who have, they want to improve their lives, well, this is the channel that I might use. So I think that has value in developing templates.
Definitely. And I'm really, by the way, really excited to, your daughter's name is Sarah, right?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for her to get involved. Yeah, all of our marketing has been geared towards the parents currently, but we need to step into the younger crowd. So I'm really, really excited for her contribution.
No, thanks for that. And I was surprised that she was interested in doing it. And so I was happy with that, because that meant I didn't have to try to force her to do it. Mm-hmm. But because I think it has a lot of value for her. And I'd really like to get her on a call and just give her an orientation, because if it's just me like guiding her through the material, then it probably won't have as much weight as having a third party, you know, guide her through the material or ask the questions of how can you help.
You think she'd be interested in like learning marketing too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool. How would people that had really good sessions with you, like what would they tell their friends? Is it so personal and like closed door that they wouldn't do any mouth-to-mouth advertising for you, or what do you think they would be open to share?
No, I think that on the coaching side, you can use testimonials. On the counseling side, it's not ethical to use your clients for testimonials. And counselors and coaches get their next client from word of mouth, and many times. I mean, we've turned people on to people that we like, and they spend thousands of dollars with those people. So I think word of mouth, and yeah, I mean, I think what they would say is, okay, this session had a big impact on my life, and I would recommend having this conversation if you're facing problems with what to do next or how to escape anxiety and procrastination. Nice.
So they hear other people struggling and having problems, and they'd be inclined to say like, well, this worked for me, right? Yeah, and then I think if I could demonstrate success, then that would kind of speak for itself. If people see other people doing well, then that would raise some eyebrows. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I have my own set of self-doubt, but so far with most everyone I've had discussions with, it's gone pretty well. Like I've gotten good feedback. And I think it's a matter of just plowing forward and making the adjustments, trying to improve along the way. Got to take my own medicine.
Yeah. What?
I mean, some people, Joshua, they're just missing like one word of encouragement, right? That's some people are just missing that.
Just somebody rooting for them.
Yeah, just somebody supporting, one word of encouragement. Some people have never had any encouragement in their whole life, right? They've just been getting kicked by parents in school and government their whole lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kara, do you have any other questions about like audience and?
Not right now.
Okay.
We covered the basics.
Yeah. Tim, like what is the fastest route to getting you operational? What needs to be built?
Yeah, I think I've been kind of debating that. But certainly like a brand, a presence, and then marketing, probably in that order.
Mm-hmm.
Brand, a website, someplace that with that word of mouth that they can send them to get more information.
Yes, yeah. And then, I mean, a delivery platform and a payment system after that.
After that, like a website to capture details, and then a payment structure built into that.
Yes, for sure. A couple methods probably. So I think it's it can be difficult to pay online. So what does that amount to? Is it Zelle or a crypto? I think the more methods, then the easier you make it for the client, the easier it is to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd kind of like to avoid Google if I can somehow. Okay, I'm okay with like, yeah, I got to market on YouTube, but what kind of bothers me is like I had a Yahoo account and I did a business account for someone in like 2003. And as the administrator of that, I can't detach myself from that, even though I haven't worked for them for 15 years. So I still get like random invoice emails and stuff like that. And then now I'm attached to Autonomy. YouTube channel is on my Gmail. So if Autonomy gets shut down on YouTube, what does that mean for my Gmail, my professional presence? So somehow I want to detach all that stuff. Yeah.
That's your personal account, or that is linked?
It's linked to my personal account. So I'd love to detach that somehow.
Yeah. It's just forwarding, right? It's just forwarding to yours. And
no, actually I have, no, it doesn't forward. I have two separate accounts. One of them is Autonomy One, which I set up, and it's linked to my Gmail. And the YouTubes are linked. And I think that's part of the design, right? So I don't want to like compromise one and cascade the chain to the other presences. Mm-hmm. So somehow I'd like to keep this professional presence separate from that Gmail account.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to think how.
And yet it still needs the authenticity. It still probably needs all the Google marketing, all the other stuff. The YouTube presence, the analytics, and then at some point, you can supercharge it with the Gary system at some point.
Mm-hmm. I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You jumped my gun on it, so which was great because it needed to be done. But yeah, I'll figure out how to untangle that.
Yeah, that was back when I took action before thinking. Okay, I still do that.
Cool. Well,
Gung ho.
all right. So I'm hearing some branding direction would be first steps, and then getting your website set up, and with just a simple like 1, 2, 3 page website with contact form and maybe a section about you and what services you offer on the front page, and then connecting payment method through that, like back end. I just like started using, I know PayPal's no better, but PayPal allows you to make reoccurring payment buttons. So I'm just creating pages for clients to sign up. How is your payment plan? How often do you see yourself servicing people? Is it like a one time and done, or is it like a 3 to 5 session, or are you looking for like lifetime clients?
I think there's a mix of those things where typically coaching or counseling would be, an hour a week with homework. And then if I did a class, it would be more like a maybe an hour of individual and then a 2 or 3 hour group discussion or something like that, a presentation. And so it would be probably a weekly, but then if you offer a class, it could be some upfront payment.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe people want to do monthly. Just in the counseling world, it's typically weekly. And then I might offer products like pre-packaged products.
Cool.
Yeah. And I have, like, there's 2 or 3 examples of people who are doing similar things. And I'm kind of shying. I don't know if I want to be the product, but I'm also not sure how I can avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
A little bit more?
Well,
You want to
let's
focus
say
on them and not yourself?
No, there's a couple different categories that I'm thinking about, right? So there's a couple people who, there's more than a couple, who make a lot of money selling, like, okay, how to avoid narcissists or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a guy, Richard Grannon, he's the Spartan Life Coach is his brand. And then there's a woman, Lisa A. Romano, and she does, and then there's the Crappy Childhood Fairy, right? So those people are the brand, and they are out on a daily or more or less, a little less basis. And then there's, okay, I have a counseling front page and I'm marketing counseling services and that's it. And that's a little more subtle, right? Because I'm marketing, let's say I'm marketing like, Freudian therapy or like person-centered therapy or something like that, some brand of stuff. And that's a little less personality dependent. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of like, I guess, consulting discussion that I need to have, which is how do I want to position myself in that market? Because the other one, the individual product lends itself to coaching and marketing and products, whereas the other one kind of is the more official cartel-based take insurance counseling model.
And then I've heard you've got an element of classes too.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's another thing as well in there.
Right. Mm-hmm. So there's the classes, and there's also information products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So is your dilemma as part of that, like, are you thinking about whether to have these as like separate entities, or, because I mean, these could all be encompassed into one. That's just part of what you're trying to, if what I'm hearing is trying to decide with branding yourself, and if you want to be the brand, or if you want all of your services to be the brand. Is that what I'm hearing?
Something like that. It's just something, it's pretty subtle, but something to think about, because with just coaching, like I could do more because they're not subject to as many like cartel and constraints.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, I would need some liability insurance and that kind of stuff. And then do I need a business brand instead of a personal brand? So yeah, that's just some stuff I'm wrestling with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big question, because I mean, that will really lead to what URL you're going to lean towards, right? Have you put any thought into that?
Well, I don't think I want to do my own, like my name in a URL. I think it would be a brand of coaching or counseling. It doesn't have to be too fancy. It's just a moniker. I have two people that I like, and one is 1,000 Paths. That's the name of their website. Their IFS coach, and she just does like individual sessions. And she is put a lot of time into training with that school, and she's a coach. She's not a licensed therapist. And I kind of like that model because you're not subject to the cartel, and yet you're delivering a very similar service to what the cartel would deliver, and then some. She has the expertise of that training and experience. And then I have another one called Achieve Fulfillment, and she's just a straight counselor. She does marriage therapy and individual counseling, and she takes insurance. She advertises in Psychology Today. She gets a lot of word of mouth. She does some speaking engagements and gets clients, and she's pretty full. But it's taken her some time, I'm sure, to fill up. And then there's these other people, which are like professional YouTube marketer people like Richard Grannon and Lisa Romano, and then Marissa Peers, people like that. I don't really want to be a celebrity, let's put it that way. Because I'm going to do this other stuff, which will be scary and frightening for people. And I don't necessarily want people to connect the dots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My autonomy level 5, smack the new world order. That's another brand. Gary gets me.
I get you.
And the clients are different. So the clients are vastly different. And really, I think if I could make a go of it with smack the NWO clients, then that would be really nice, because that's kind of my passion. But also, I do have a passion for self-improvement and helping people improve themselves. I think what really gets me is when clients or friends or acquaintances or people that I've spoken with in the past, they do something extraordinary, and then I ask them about it, and they're like, oh, that, I wouldn't have done that unless you had encouraged me or kind of pointed me in that direction. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction to see people excel.
Yeah. What did you say was the first thing that you said was your real passion? Did I hear you say?
So the first thing is, I don't like to be lied to, and so I like to uncover the lies. Yeah.
Got it.
Lies of school history, government, conditioning, media, all of that, all the stuff that we talk about.
Got it. Thank you.
So I could just jump in that swimming pool and drown and be happy. If I could make a living doing that, right? But I have kind of these competing passions, and then I have this responsibility to my family to make a regular living at a regular company. So I'm really squeezing. I think that sometimes I feel like I'm not productive, but a lot of it is just like being present to the work that you have to do and kind of muddling through it, and then keeping the lights on. That's like right now, that's 95% of the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I could be on Discord talking with my autonomy buddies for hours and hours, but I need to spend some time with my wife and family and do my other stuff. And what I'm trying to do is understand, all right, what thing that I'm doing creates the most value, that I can get some leverage onto. So how should I spend my time most effectively to get some leverage? And that could be financial leverage. It could be internal psychological leverage. Could be multiplying knowledge leverage out into the world. It could be like spreading information and getting people tuned up to what's really going on with them, and understanding how they're enslaved and maybe coming up with some solutions, both financial and physical and mental enslavement. But then how do I use my time to create the most value for myself and others? And I understand that sometimes that's not going to readily translate into financial benefit. I still have to preserve the financial benefit piece as well at the same time. So it's a kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, these are great questions. I can see how you could get hung up and not start.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about next actions. I'm going to send you some resources on branding. It'll be a color guide. Really, you need to be the one who comes up with like your URL. We have a partnership with Tony, so he's a great place if you don't have a website host to get started. As soon as you have a URL, you can buy it through him and then get websites set up with him. I'll send a follow-up email with some links in this. And he's like really affordable compared to most places, and it's Tony, so he's quite responsive and helpful, and we'll help you get everything set up.
In regards to along the lines of branding and trying to come up with like a name or a presence, it's something I can maybe help you brainstorm. Like a list of keywords that that really hit home for you and describe the goals that you're trying to help people achieve. And we could just kind of do a brainstorm dump and just get a whole bunch of ideas out there and variations that could at least start to get the wheels turning. And
yeah, I can send that to you. We did a value sort in the class that I delivered. So if maybe it has you like pick all the values, boil them down into 5 similar categories, and then pick the most important one in the 5, and then that becomes your values list. Yeah. So I think that's probably a rich environment for brainstorming brands.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And create a brainstorm area inside of Discord so you guys can have that conversation there, and like everybody will be able to watch and give feedback on. I'll make a post in the team feed announcing your project and people that are interested in helping out and where to do it. They can get access to this video to get a good overview of what you're looking to accomplish.
So is there anything that sounds off base? It's kind of broad, it's kind of big. I know there's like taking the baby steps is the first thing to do. And that's where I've struggled. Like, taking the baby steps, like just getting a name, that's the hardest part for me. Making a decision and moving.
Yeah, that name's, I mean, it's a big one.
It is.
You really don't want to like be changing that URL or like you can change logos, you can change other branding colors and things like that, but that's pretty crux. So I think that keyword offer that Kara said will be really helpful in brainstorming some ideas. Also, write down on your list to send us some competitors into that group chat so we can see like who you admire and whose marketing you like.
Yeah, I'll definitely like list those people that I talked about. So there's one more I really like, even though I don't always agree with this dude, but he's the guy, and I think I told you, Joshua, who created the podcast. I think they're getting 100,000 downloads a month.
Yeah.
But he's a very successful like author, and he kind of leads a school of therapy. But there's definitely some clues on that as to deep diving some of those subjects for information to explore further that people are interested in. And then I'm doing some training with his organization, so I can kind of mine that. I'm getting certified in his school out there.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so who's the market, who are the competitors, values list, and name for URL. Piece of cake.
Yeah. Well, those are baby steps. And
there's an action plan now.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, like just to reiterate how I want to offer you support is like Kara will be your kind of go-to on the project, and if you need like another good brainstorming session, like we get the website up, I'll put Divi on it if you're enjoying Divi, because that can give you some real hands-on design if you want to learn to do your own website too. Then the apprentices are there. They'll be able to help you figure out which layout you want to go with, and then they can offer you support and in building it. They're looking for website experience. So
yeah, I think at this point I don't have time to learn too much of this myself.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna be just good. Can we do this, that? I'll draw a stick man, and then you guys draw the Picasso, and then we make adjustments, right?
Yeah. Yeah, great. I'm training Gus this week to like sit with a client and figure out design and like what they want. So I'll be pointing him at you next. And I'm coming at this from a like pro bono approach, but if you enjoy the work, like let me invite the opportunity to like tip the apprentices. I know they'd like appreciate that.
No, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, I don't mind doing that for sure. I'm interested to see where we can go with this. At any rate, it's a lot less expensive than hiring a professional firm to do it. Yeah, and interesting how we do.
The expectation of apprentices is that they're not getting paid, so anything coming their way is very appreciated and full of gratitude. So
is there a tip jar somewhere?
No, but like I'll throw like Deirdre some bucks through PayPal and just be like, hey, what's your PayPal address? And
Yeah.
just throw them a little bit, throw them what you feel comfortable with. And then,
That's cool.
you know, they're not expecting it. So it's really appreciated.
Yeah, that's a really valid expectation.
Cool.
And I'll be able to help guide the copywriters in helping out with content for the site. And I mean, we'll probably have another follow-up meeting so that we can ask you even more questions and do a real deep dive interview. And I'll be able to assist them with that process. And that'll be a really great learning experience for them, taking this from scratch.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a really kind of a scratch exercise. So, I mean, I have a vision. Now it's how do we get to that?
Yeah.
And I do think it could be used as a template. And then as you guys establish process, then you could say, okay, and I can help you frame that out, like the project management process.
Sweet.
And I think you guys are already doing that with Trello or something, right?
It's called Teamwork, but yeah,
Teamwork.
it still needs a lot of shaping. So I'll take that.
And I'm pretty sure you sent me an invite to that at one point, but
not Teamwork, but Trello. I'm sure you did. So that's out
okay.
there.
Well, I'll let Kara, my project manager, tell me what I need to do.
Cool. Well, yeah. Next steps is really just getting your URL chosen, and then buy a hosting package with Tony. It's like $20. It'll cost $20, and then like $10 a month to host your package. He'll get the back end set up and get WordPress loaded up, and then I'll get notified, and then at that point I'll bring on a website designer apprentice, and then we'll have another meeting about layout and like what you want your website to look like.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
So I think also on the Raising Excellence site, there's a bio. So that would probably be good for me to bring that in. So I'll try to send a link of that.
Sweet.
And I'll drop the values list into the brainstorming session.
Because the first thing, of course, well, obviously one of the main things we'll need to get going on is the name, which that's what that value list is going to provide. We'll be doing some brainstorming and thinking while developing the design layout of the website, but we won't really start filling things out until we have the design. That's when we'll really, because that way we can have an idea of how much text needs to be in certain spots. And so in the meantime, we can collect certain phrases or anything, any kind of descriptive content that you think will want to be used later. And then once we have the layout, we'll be able to see how to put it all together.
That sounds great. And so I'll start working on the values list. And then when do we want to reconvene?
Depends how fast you can get the URL and like website bought for and paid for. If that's something you can knock out this week, we can have a follow-up next week, or 2 weeks is probably more realistic.
Yeah, probably 2 weeks.
Okay, well, this week I'll try to get the hosting package and the name, and then I'll drop the values list. And I'm going to have a brainstorming session on values on the name before I buy the name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely. So then that's something that that you and I can do later. We could bring in possibly Agnieszka or a couple others to help with the brainstorm process too.
Okay.
But maybe we could do that maybe next week.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to send you this follow-up email, and then make sure you get in your own room, and that's when you got permissions, and go in there and say hello.
All right. Very nice. Well, I'm excited.
Cool, Tim. Well, nice work getting to this point, and now the fun begins.
Just need to keep moving.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Joshua, we'll talk to you guys again soon.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye.